Brookside Consulting, cloud-based voice, video, contact center, and internet. So we're going to talk about ShoreTel today, which, like the Titanic, was cruising, a great company, making good strides, good product, good people. Everything was going well until Mitel bought them. It was like hitting an iceberg, just like the Titanic. It sank the ship pretty much, and all of its key people went to places like Avaya, RingCentral, Dialpad, and 8bay, just to name a few. So really what happened to ShoreTel's products? Well, it's kind of hard to tell at this point in time because a private equity company owns the company. So in a nutshell, what happened? ShoreTel was acquired by Mitel back in 2017. And then in 2018, Searchlight, a private equity company, bought Mitel. And then in last year, basically turned around and sold the customer base to RingCentral. So that's where we're at today. So private equity companies, they basically make investments with their capital and strategic value for shareholders, meaning that they don't really waste money if they can help it. That's not what it's all about. So they could care less about the Mitel brand name, ShoreTel, any of those products in place, because it's all about money. And they have their own attorneys on staff. So if you have an existing contract with them, they'll probably figure out a way to get out of it. It'll cost you a lot of money if you were to get anything back in return. But the bottom line is many of the people that helped build the company are no longer there, which has affected their service and their responses. So they want you to move everything over to RingCentral, which is a network they think that everybody should be on. But is that the best solution to meet your particular needs and budget? It's expensive, I think, and I don't know, I'm not sure. But we provide free consulting to help you find, at the end of the day, the best provider to meet your specific needs for voice, video, contact center, integration into things like Teams and Zoom and WebEx, making all this stuff talk to each other, integrate it with your contact center. And some of the business apps, I think we help you find the best combination of phones, whether it be soft phones or hardware phones, as well as integration into everything from Microsoft to Google. So from solution design to contract negotiation to implementation, Brookside has it all covered. So what a lot of people kind of measure out is cloud-based versus on-premise. Well, basically your cloud-based stuff is going to be very simple for you. You don't have really anything you need to do. There's nothing on site. Everything's in the cloud. You just got to get to the internet and everything will work fine. So there's low hardware cost, good backup and recovery is in the cloud. Didn't care if you have internet at your office, it's still working and it's secure. That's the thing about today's stuff, it's finally secure. On-premise is going to be significantly high hardware cost, medium, backing stuff up. I mean, it's just a lot of responsibility that goes with So a lot of people move to the cloud for three reasons. Economics, it winds up being less expensive because you're getting rid of circuits and things and stuff you don't even know you're paying for, maintenance software that just goes away. Scalability, it's easy to scale. Hey, how many people do you need? It's $20 a user for, $100 for call center, whatever the number is, right? It's just easier for everybody. The pricing and everything works out great that way. Performance, these new systems, they just really in the cloud, they really perform really well. And they're much more reliable than they ever were in the past. So companies like 8bay have like a 99.9% uptime, which is with SLA. So when you break it all down, on-premise is responsible for all this stuff. I mean, it's just a whole lot of responsibility for you and your company, versus the cloud, where once you move into the cloud situation, it's any device, anywhere, anything can open up, almost zero responsibility other than getting the internet working. So when you start looking at it from a user perspective, how many things do they have to log in? I know we all have single sign-on now, or some of us do, but I mean, this is a lot of stuff people are logging into every day. So what Brookside does is we help you kind of take a step back from everything, take a look at what you got, what you like, you're using Microsoft Teams. That's one of our specialties, is voice enabling that and reducing the cost and complexity it takes to communicate. We're cloud-based voice, video, contact center, and we provide really good internet solutions from all the major carriers. So the question begs, why would you want to move voice, chat, and video to the cloud? Well, you know exactly what you're going to spend for the next 3 to 5 years. That's a big one. Minimal upfront cost. I make sure that as your consultant, I make sure the upfront costs are as low as they can be, and then it pays for itself through savings when you compare what the total cost per user is, which is the best way to look at this. Reduce complexity from responsibility for IT by getting rid of legacy server hardwares and circuits and stuff that needs to be upgraded and maintained and managed. Consolidate collaboration tools. Get everybody on Teams. Get everybody on Google Workspace. Whichever one WebEx. It doesn't. Whichever one makes the most sense. But get them all on one thing, so it's easier for everybody. Less passwords, easier on IT and everything. So you only pay for what you need on a per user basis, and always have the latest features and capabilities, which is getting to be huge because the older stuff, they're just not really putting any money into upgrading those things. So consolidation, integration of key apps deliver the best possible user experience. So it's easy on the users. So like I said, you got Teams and Microsoft or Google, Salesforce. We help integrate all this stuff so that it all talks to each other, and it's really a unique situation where it's very easy on the users and the customers. So we also help you meet your business continuity and security goals with enterprise connectivity using fiber and LAN. So I can get you pricing on fiber, good pricing for pretty much anywhere in the world. So we help you find the best path to the cloud for voice chat, video connectivity. So when it comes to basically using Microsoft Teams, especially for some of these customers out there, what they're doing in many cases is they're using an internal Microsoft Teams for voice, video, chat, and all those things. They still have like a ShoreTel phone over there they use for, or Mitel, whatever you want to call it, to make and receive voice calls, and it has its own phone number. So that's two solutions to manage versus one. So what we like to look at is taking these things like the hardware, the phone lines and all that stuff, everything, pull it together, putting it all into one. So you have one app for everything using Microsoft Teams direct routing. We're able to make and receive calls. They come right to the calls button. You don't have to retrain the users. I mean, you don't have to log into multiple things. It all connects up, and they just start making and receiving calls right out of Teams on any device anywhere. It's like literally overnight, this dial pad comes up, and they're able to make and receive calls. There's a log of all their calls, and there you go. You just dial the numbers from there, or it also integrates with Active Directory into your contacts. So you add voice to Microsoft Teams to reduce complexity and save money. Now, when you get rid of your phone system, it works like this. You set up, because it's really easy to set up on any device. Just start running Teams. Voice pops right in there. It's automatic. It's really slick how it works. And so there are multiple options for how Microsoft Teams integration works, because it's in the Azure data center. As you know, and so they've got their own solution that they use, or everybody seems to have a solution that works with Microsoft Teams. So we try to help find the best one to fit your particular needs based on your call center, international calling, several factors that we take into play as people have been doing this for almost 40 years. So when we start looking at it, we help find the best integration that meets your specific needs and budget with everything in the cloud, so any device, anywhere. So and then outbound caller ID is your work number, which works out. So Microsoft does sell their own solution, but we're not really big on it, because when there's a problem, they don't really take much responsibility. That's why I say they're number one in finger pointing. I would stay away from Microsoft as a provider of carrier type services. So with your Teams, now Teams doesn't have an API. So what happens? Everybody uses kind of the same workaround. The way the workaround works is that you're able to make and receive calls from basically any PBX or phone system through Teams. So it uses, as long as it's using SIP, you've got the ability to make it work with, if you've got a Mitel, you can work with your existing Mitel ShoreTel solution now, or with the newer phones. I mean, it all integrates. Or if you're on Dialpad or WebEx, you're using the Polycom phones, Vonage, once again, they're Cisco, they've got their set of phones and they've got a good service, but it all integrates with Microsoft Teams these days. Even the contact center giants like NICE, CX1, and Five9, these companies all integrate in Zoom. There we go, Zoom. And then you get into Avaya, which uses their own phones, which is kind of slick. And then they use the Ring Central network. There's a lot of different ways to do it. But this could actually work with an existing current Avaya premise-based phone system. So that's how that works. And then 8x8, I think, is the company that has probably got the best integration I've seen going into Teams right now, or a cloud company. So when we start talking about 8x8, you talk about everything from analytics to obviously phones and video, but enterprise contact center stuff, integration like you've never seen. So you're able to have a single log on for secure and reliable voice, chat, video, and contact center solutions, all from one company. So it's kind of worked out well for a lot of these big national companies that don't want to have 3 or 4 different vendors deliver a solution. They want one single solution, and I think 8x8 can deliver that. Now they can deliver Microsoft Teams integration, which gives you enterprise grade telephony, so it's always on, and it gives you global PSTN, global numbers all over the world. So for people that want to use Teams as their sole collaboration interface for their users, this is perfect. So you take video and chat that they're using today, and you basically add 8x8 services to it, so that with direct routing, they begin being able to call all over the world. Like I said, calls just start popping right into that calls button in Teams. So they are able to use one app for voice, chat, video, screen sharing, task management, and everything. And it works with most phones, so that any of these SIP phones will work with the 8x8 service as long as it's SIP. So I mean, that's from Polys, ones that have cameras built into them, to Yealink, to Cisco, all of them. So, but most users there are actually moving more to cordless headsets and away from desk phones. So that also is part of what works in conjunction with this. It can be a part of the deal, so that you're able to use desktop notebooks and cordless headsets. And you can, it works mobile with the Apple phones, Apple headphones and everything. So like I said, it all goes right into your soft phone. It's an app that you just begin making and receiving calls, and texts and everything go out with your work number, which works out great. So single sign on, like I said, got international calling, voice, chat, and video, because they're global. A lot of people like them because they have data centers all over the country. As you can see, they got free calling up to as many as 48 countries. All these countries are all covered under these various packages that or licenses that you get. And most people would have X2, which give you a lot, pretty lot, England, Sweden, Spain, Puerto Rico, New Zealand, Ireland. I mean, it's just whatever you need, you can get it by user. And that's why the international stuff is the reason Indeed and Expedia and these Verbo guys all use 8x8. So when you start looking at 8x8 voice for Microsoft Teams, like I said, the call button comes alive. You've got a dial pad and all this stuff in there. Here's all your different, your dashboard for Teams, your calendar, your phone calls, and all these things are all right there built in. Your phone calls pop up right there, and you start making and receiving them from that dial pad. Now, installation only takes a few minutes for this because once we have a database or a CSV file has it in the right places, this just is plug and play with Active Directory. So we give them the extension list, go right into the 8x8 cloud, and next thing you know, it is programmed. When you're adding new users, it's got the ability to go down here to click in your user interface in the admin console to enable the Microsoft Teams integration. So once you have that, you've got the ability to have this app that they have that comes from the store, the little app store that they've got built into the into Teams. So you go to the Teams app store, boom, next thing you know, you get the 8x8 app. You get ready to sign in, you say, single sign on. So you click on that one time, boom, you're into the system. And then what you've got, like I said, is the ability to see some pretty interesting things. You can administer a lot of things on your phone. The users can do some things that they haven't been able to do before without having to get IT involved. So a lot of this is driven around self-service, which works out great for most companies. Now, built into this is an app, like I said, and this shows you your voicemail, your SMS text, your faxes, your call recordings, and then your settings, and that's on your PBX on the phone system. So I mean, that works out really well. So it lays out to where, like here we see all the different SMS texting, that's going on here. And that work. And like I said, then there's a customer portal that allows you to be able to program your call forwarding, change your password, all those little things, all from within Teams. And so it works out really well. I mean, the Teams app, it's different from some of the other integrations. This is why I really like 8x8 because this stuff starts at around $12 to $15 a user. Be able to have Teams be the app that you use for your phone system. I mean, it's kind of crazy, and then be able to have all these, unlimited calling, Microsoft Teams. It's the only certified contact center for the cloud. They've made advanced telephony and contact center analytics. These maybe some of this information may be old, but at the end of the day, it's pretty close. What they've got is UCaaS and CCaaS and video all together in one solution. So a lot of people like that. They like the fact that they've got skills-based routing and IVRs and self-service chatbots, AI and analytics, all the bells and whistles you can all get there on a per user basis. And I think the biggest thing you look at is smart service, self-service versus regular, because that's when you start getting into AI and having them basically, fix your problems without even having to talk to them. So that, because we realize that 80% of the customers are going to try to solve their problems using the web first and or self-service. So we can help you set up a self-service solution. From that, using quality management speech analytics, we can look for customer sentiment. We can look for phrases, things the customer might have said or that the salesman might have said, or whatever, whoever's in the customer service agent, we're able to go back and look for keywords as well as phrases using speech analytics. So that works out very well. We wind up at the end of the day taking this information, rolling it all in with 8x8 into customer journey analytics, which allows you to see everything that the customer does. So that when you start thinking about analytics, this is what you don't have today. But are we missing any customer calls? Are we losing business because we don't even know about? Are we staffing to meet demand? Are all of our sales reps following up on their leads? Should we reroute our calls if there's too much traffic coming in? all these things all contribute. But like how long they're waiting on hold, how many calls were abandoned, all this information helps somebody get better as a customer service center or sales organization. So some of the differentiators are just single integrated cloud, lowest total cost of ownership, and you add it all up, it's least expensive because I look at everything from a cost per user standpoint. It seems to come in very well. Industry leading security, global architecture, and seamless integration of Teams. All things that make it very reliable. Now you need to have the internet working though. So what is the highest level of business continuity? I help you with that as well with SD-WAN solutions that are managed 24/7, so that you get one bill for multiple carriers. You have fiber, coax, even wireless, whatever it takes to make sure that the internet is working for all of your apps from your Teams, like I said, Workspace, your guest Wi-Fi, your wireless access points, all your point of sale, all those things. So our SD-WAN ensures high levels of performance for web-based apps without sacrificing security for data privacy. So it makes sure it can basically, using QoS, it can prioritize things like video and voice over guest and social media use, which really helps make everything fly faster. And we work with all the different ones from Rondeus down to Spectrum and AT&T, but to Fortinet, Palo Alto, and Meraki, and all these guys. So we help you really get the highest level of internet connectivity. Now, one of the questions I've been getting lately is, what if Microsoft Teams goes down? Well, if we start looking at Down Detector, which compares down cloud-based solutions, it gives us a chart here that shows us in a 24-hour period how many outages there were with some of these carriers. And you see Teams, 365, and Azure, they have some issues. Even Zoom does sometimes. But anyway, what you see from this is the ability, you need to have the ability in the event something were to happen to Teams. Let's say, because we're using it over here for everything, Microsoft Teams for everything. Now, if it goes down, these phones go down with it if we have Teams phones. If we have the regular Polycom phones that are Polyphones that are working off 8x8, this will continue to operate the same as normal. And so that's a big differentiator. They have an app, free app that comes with it. Looks a lot like Teams. This is called 8x8 Work. There have been some companies, and actually Hayes County decided to move away from Teams and move towards the 8x8 Work app because it's free. It does everything they thought. You see, it's laid out like Teams. It's got pretty much everything. It doesn't integrate to the Microsoft world, but other than that, it does from a standpoint of Active Directory, but not as into the Office anyway. So what are the costs of all this, right? So we start looking at it, it's all done by X series bundles. The one that most people look at is X2, that's the general employee plan. But you get into omni-channel contact center, predictive dialing, and all these things, they're all just seat licenses. You can always upgrade and move up accordingly. So when you start talking about what you need from Microsoft, you need a phone system license if you have an E1 through E4. If you have an E5, you got it covered, right? So then if you net that out to where you look at, $8 for Microsoft and 15, at the high end for an X2 license, you're looking at about $23 a user for a lot of technology. So you want to step back and look at your current monthly costs, what you're spending on what you have, including all your phone bills, internet, legacy phone system, any software assurance they've got you for, any of that type of stuff. And then how much time do your IT people spend, dealing with the phones and security? How's that? Do you feel comfortable with it, and being responsible for it, because cloud, and then all the cloud-based apps that you're paying for. So I think what happens is 8x8 for voice, Microsoft Teams is probably the best one because it's easy to manage using the X Series license. It's got native integration to Teams. You've seen the app. It's at unlimited minutes of calling, which is different than a lot of them. Redundant network, and all the software is developed in-house. So 8x8 developed everything we're looking at. Then they've got a front desk receptionist position that was developed by them. It's very cool. And just, try to take everything down to one app, which makes it easier on everybody. So, and they're a 10-time Gartner Magic Quadrant winner, or actually leader for unified communication as a service. So why work with Brookside? Okay, trusted advisor. It helps you from initial solution design and contracts to implementation. Decades of experience. I've been doing this since 1984. 1984. Latest network services by the highest level of business continuity. How to make all that work. Vendor agnostic. You care less who you choose. Just looking for the best deal on the right solution. So I get you the best price based on the volume of business I recommend, and I get good pricing and take care of the whole thing for you. Got the right connections and everything, and I provide a very high level of customer service. So take a look at my website, brooksideux.com, and let me know if there's anything I can do to help you save money and reduce complexity.